welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. Welcome to 31 day. Now you guys rock with me for 31 days. I love doing this in December because I get to go down memory lane of all the books that I've read, all the crafting I did, everything. So it's only fitting that I end it with my favorite books of 2023. And these are books that I've all reviewed. I've talked about some of them multiple times. I have, just love how these books made me feel, whether I was entertained, moved, learned something new. It doesn't matter. These are the books that spoke to me in 2023. I could not get it down to 10 though. Could not. I actually had 13 and I was able to let go of one. So that should tell you, even though I read less book than last year, I feel like I had stronger books I connected to this year in terms of getting it down to the top 10 versus last year I was able to get it down to top 10. These are books that I feel like I'm looking at books in front of me right now where I'm like, man, I love that one too. So which says a lot that I did read a lot of books that I enjoyed. I did not have a lot of womp womp. I did not have a lot of books that I absolutely hated, which is a good thing for me. Cannot complain about that at all. So we're going to get into these books. And I'm not going to do a review because I reviewed them multiple times. But I will just touch on how I felt about the book and why the book is, one of my favorite books of the year. So we're going to start with Take My Hand, and that is the Perkins-valdez. Lord, what was that? It was one of my first 5-star read of the year because I really enjoyed this story. What I did enjoy is how it took me from beyond the pages. I did a video talking about some of the books that was beyond the pages that made me do my research that I learned so much about. And this is one of those books that did that. It is inspired by a true story, a true court case that has benefited all of us. And in the process, 2 young lives were sacrificed. And they are still alive. They were much older, not much older, but I believe they're late 50s. So, but it do talk about consent, about children who don't get protection, and how if you are poor and you may have certain form of delayed growth or in terms of speech and things like that, that you are automatically assumed that you cannot have a child. Or clinical stuff done without consent, and predominantly in neighborhoods that are poor, that get affected by some of the decisions. So this book is centered in the late 60s and 70s, and it is a very important case. So if you have time, go check out Beyond the Page where I talk more about the case. And also the review that I did on this, where I went in on some of the cases. So this book, it's just like a staple book for me when I think of the field I even work in, or even us as how we can protect the youth and young people in situations like this, that make sure it will never happen again. This was on a domestic level, an American level, but it was happening even not too long ago on an international level, but there's law now to protect that. So I'm here for that. Then I read a classic that I love. I need to speak today. Little Women. Read it because there was a homage for it, which was Hello Beautiful. And because I was going to read that, I said, you know what, let me read the original because I've never read it. I've watched several movie adaptations that I loved as a kid and enjoyed, but I was like, I want to read it. I want to read the original. You know the book is always better. Loved it. Little Woman it's such a treasure. I love classics like this. Absolutely loved Joe when I was watching the movies as a kid, and I still love Joe when I read the book. So this was absolutely fantastic coming of age and matters of the heart and family. It follows 4 sisters and their struggles and the time period of what was happening and how their father was not there and their mother trying to raise them and surviving with little to nothing, and seeing their peers, and there are certain characters in this where they want what they see someone else has. You know, they want that fancy wealthy life they see someone that has, and what were they willing to do to get it. Love this, love the characters. It was very entertaining. Absolutely was a fan. The next book is a recent read. It's a recent read, and that is Ruthless. Oh my God. This is another book that I felt like was such, I could relate in certain parts of it. And I talked about blog posts that I did about it. And this book is about marriage, about individual in that marriage, what do their dream, their aspiration, and how do they fit in when one wants something else the other one did not want. And a lot of this is really centered around also parenting and being a parent and choices, and the expectation of tradition and your partner. It is a complicated book. It is a heart-wrenching, like it broke my heart. But there's aspect of it that I liked, where communication was a big key in this. It went from the lack of to let's talk, let's get to the bottom of this, because love is still there. Love is still a part of us, and we want to hold on to it. So I think for this, it was just that memorable book that I will always think about, because it really dig deep into relationships and compromise and what I guess the deal breaker too when you think of this book. So enjoy that. Then we got to go to another classic, Anna Karenina. When I tell you I was entertained, when I tell you I was absolutely entertained by the shenanigans. This is a book where the main character I could not stand. I despised the heck out of that woman. She was just that kind of person that I was like, when things happened to her, I was like, hell yeah. Oh my God, this, you know, the infidelity, there's the matter of a child, and you know, that whole idea of women who were in marriages because that was what you do to survive. But if the marriage is not for you, it's like, how do you handle that? But then there's also that, you know, running away from one thing and jumping to another, but not taking the blame for your own demise, essentially, in everything that you do. And then it also has the country life and people who are trying to, you know, farm and live off the land, and those that are, you know, in another class status, that kind of deal. I love this. I really was entertained. It's, you know, she trifling, and I was here for it, and it was worth it. I was just like, I had no idea I would have been so entertained by Anna Karenina. I was very entertained. Very entertained. Love this. Then we have non-fiction, and this is Kai Miller, Things I Have Withheld. This was so good. I was happy to get into this. I've been eyeing it when it just came out, never got to it. I'm so happy I got to it this year. And what I love is that he's a poet, so his writing is absolutely beautiful. And I love that he took you on this journey of life as an immigrant in another country, and traveling to certain parts of Africa, traveling to certain parts of the Caribbean, his sexuality, being around young youth who are poor, and also struggling with their sexuality in that kind of environment. And it really touched on a lot of things, and I like that he shared. And I like that he titled it this, because sometimes, you know, we hold on to things and we don't really express and talk about things that matters to us, that shape us, that make us a part of who we are, that kind of deal. So I was very, very good. This is good. Every single essay in this is good. I did not dislike any of them. Like, that's just to tell you how good this was. Love him. I cannot wait for him to come out with a new book. I mean, may I wait, Kai? Come on. Then we have a book that was recommended by me, recommended by you guys. And that is By Our Own Design. And this is a story about Anne Lowe. And you guys know how passionate I am about this woman, and the fact that she did not get a lot of respect, the shine that she deserved. And so I'm forever going to be talking about her. I'm going to share a lot about my feelings towards her, and I'm going to learn from her as well. You guys know I love to sew, and she was that designer. She was that designer. There's a lot of things that we wear that nobody really knew that she came up with that concept, that idea, and a lot of people benefited from it. A lot of top designers did, but no one really gave her shine. Because why? She was a black woman. She was also part of the social registers. So those that were the in crowd, that was the top of the line people, were fortunate enough to wear her clothes, but never quite give her credit. I.e., the first time that Jackie Kennedy, was asked about who made her dress. So you guys know, not familiar, she's the one that designed her wedding dress, where she didn't want to like the dress, but the dress was fabulous, and she did not identify who made the dress for her till many years later, which was sad. But I really enjoy this because it gets down to the nitty-gritty of her life. It wasn't pretty. She was a child bride, and she experienced abuse, and she had one child who things tragedy happened, and she had to deal with that. Also the whole idea of her sight. You guys know how sensitive about the sight. So, and she experienced that because her sight dwindled towards the end of her life. And so all of this is just like a book that I literally want to look at a lot. Like, it's literally how it's displayed on my shelf. I want to look at it because that's just how much I enjoy this, how much I love, and how much I respect this woman. The next book is a book that I wanted to read. I talked about it, I think, on the first live that I ever did. And I remember thinking, oh, I gotta pick this up. The Street. Who knew this book was gonna be like? This book came out at a period of time where it wasn't popular to write books like this. There is this idea that a book should have an ending that is happy or pleasant, and this book didn't give you that. This book gave you the reality of some. And this is a single mother struggling and in a living situation where there's predators and there's things happening, and she's trying her best and trying to protect her child, and ultimately the world got a hold of her and the child. And it is really that book that is building up. When you're reading it, you're expecting this just a fast pace where you're getting so much action and things are happening. This is not that kind of book. This is the kind of book that you got to pay attention. You got to read. You got to see where things are leading. Even though when you're reading it, you assume it's going to go this way, but it went this way. And when things do happen, you are screaming because you're like, oh no, that kind of idea of, yes, it needed to happen, but no, because of the consequence. And I'm just like screaming that this book, it is hyped for a reason. It is considered like a modern classic. So good. For those of you who are wondering, pick it up. Everybody should at least read this. It should be on your list at some point, your TBR. It is a classic. And it's so good, and she went there. Then the next book is a short story collection that I cannot get over how beautiful this writing is, and that is At the Bottom of the River by Jamaica Kincaid. She's just a fascinating, unbelievable Caribbean writer period. But I just love that she's Caribbean. She is Antiguan. So I really love how beautiful this is, because it felt like you were reading some poetry, like some lyrical rap stuff that you can turn in. I mean, and it was very nostalgic. It just gave me feels of my grandmother, and I was just like, oh, Like, I wanted to reread this over and over and over and over because that's how good it was for me. I love this short story collection. Everything about it. Every damn thing about this book. The next book is from a Haitian writer, What Storm, What Thunder, and Miriam J.A. Chancey was just another Haitian writer that I feel represents her country well. Because Haitian writers, their imagination and their thought process and how they write is always, to me, beautiful. And she did this talking about multiple characters who survived and are surviving, which it's explained in a way that you get it. And this is the before and the aftermath of that earthquake that shook that island. And the stories in this, it is a novel, but it's told in somewhat of an interlocking because there's different characters. This chapter talking about, this is the character moment, but it's done so well that it flows well and it makes sense, and you are like hooked because you want to know what's going to happen, especially since it's before and then the aftermath. So you want to know what's happening to each character after, and the survival and who survived in that kind of deal. Very good, very good. I'm glad that this was one of those hyped Caribbean book, and it was worth the hype. The next book is a book that broke my heart. I cried. I think the last 100 pages of this book, I was crying. Like, I was just like, what is going on here? Why am I crying so much? I was like, no. And that is Hold You Down by Tracy Brown. And if you're not familiar, she passed away this year, and I was so broken. And I look forward to her next book, which is, I think it's going to be called Brooklyn, that comes out in 2024. But this book really talks about the inner city in the 80s, the early stage of crack, basically in New York. And you have two sisters, one who's willing to do the work and struggle and find her way, and with her son, and the other sister who chose another path with her son, and how one sister's decision completely changed the entire family, completely changed the two sons who grew up as brothers. They're cousins, but they grew up like brothers. And the sister who is there to pick up pieces and try her best and never quite get to live because she's always taking care. And this is such a book that really reflects life back then, and how people didn't even understand what they were doing, what they were putting into their bodies, what kind of lifestyle they really was living, because they wanted to get out of the situation. They wanted to not be poor again. And this book really dig on that. There is the betrayal of your family, and the matters of the heart, and what you sacrifice, the life that you sacrifice for that family member, and what did it give you in the end, the heartache. And I was just crushed by this book, and I absolutely think that the cover is probably why a lot of people never picked this up, because I think they think it is just like some urban fiction. No, it is a literary fiction. It is a literary fiction, and I think if the cover was different, people probably would have pick it up more. But the cover is fitting because it does represent the sisters. But this is a really good book. I absolutely 5-star for me. I want more people to read it. Get into this book. It is very good. The next book is no surprise, guys. It's no surprise. The Bee Sting. Are you surprised? I'm sure you're not. This book had me screaming. This book had me screaming. Like, screaming. I love everything about this book. I love how it follows 4 family members. It follows their secrets, their view, how they see each other, what they want. And it goes up to the parents, to the young ones, and bad decisions that they make and the consequence of it. But drawn to each other in a way that was just absolutely a page turner. Love this book. it should have won the book, in my opinion. I get why the other one won. I talked about that. But this still was my favorite. Hands down my favorite. And this is a chunky bitch. And for me to really want to read it, for me to be like, I could have read 200 pages of this book, that should tell you that this is a chunky book that, yes, some of y'all gonna get pissed off. But I love it. Love it. Love it. The writing, the storyline, how the authors pull you in and have your heart racing in certain parts. That I was here for it. I was here for it. I was here for the scandal. Yeah. Yeah, Dickie. I was here for the scandal. So, love this. And my book that really, really did something to me this year was, and I have to do it because I will tell you why, which I have not shared with you guys because I wasn't ready to talk about it. But it's the last video of the year, and your girl's going to be taking a little break from long video for at least 2 weeks. So the next long video will be on the 13th. But I will have a lot of shorts. There's going to be a lot of shorts. But How to Save Babylon, which is a Safia Sinclair's memoir. And she talks about her life with her parents and her siblings living in Jamaica, and her father is a Rastafarian, and how her life was with that. But it's so much more than just a religion. It's more of what he clung to, his pain, hurt people, and his relationship with his mother and what happened and how that drew him closer to the religion, and also his dream and aspiration, his heartbreak, and how he took that and inflicted on his family. This book really let me in a sad way, because when I reviewed this book in November, I had to redo the ending like 3 times because I was in tears when I started talking about it. I talked about how that moment when she answered the phone, and I talked about the fact that I realized in that moment I was still healing. So for me, I didn't answer the phone because I was tired. I got to a breaking point with my relationship with my father where I just could not be hurt anymore, so I didn't answer the phone. But there was always a hope in my heart that one day we will fix our issue. That's not gonna happen because my father died this month. He passed away, I found out on the 19th. And I've been struggling with it. And this book made me realize that my healing's going to be different. I'm not going to get certain things. So I'm struggling. And I'm trying not to cry. But this book was powerful. It was what I needed. I was meant to read it because maybe the universe was telling me something. Because I thought about my father a lot since November, but didn't know I was going to lose him the next month. So that is one of my things I've been carrying this month, and he's going to be laid to rest in another week, and the healing process is different. But I was so happy she got that moment in the book, and I thought about, like, I wish I had that, but life happens and my healing is going to be different. So yeah, this is why this is my favorite book. I survived that. So yeah, guys, so that is one reason why I haven't really been talking about certain things, because tragedy happened this month. Not just that my cousin's husband died the first week, then my father, and then my boyfriend's sister, she passed like a few days after my father. So it was a rough I would say the rough month in terms of ups and downs, but my father was the biggest blow, and I'm glad I was able to do this video and do Vlogmas because it kept my mind busy and made me not cry all the time. This is probably the third time I feel like I want to cry because I've been holding it in, but I'm processing. It's processing, and one of the things I'm learning is it takes time. That I'll probably never be okay because it's your parent, but it takes time. So I'm gonna be taking 2 weeks off to mourn more and also to rest and deal with this. And also I will be doing shorts, so there will be a lot of shorts where I don't have to show my face. But thank you guys for a beautiful year. And I know this is a womp womp at the end of the video. This is why I saved the video for last, because I knew this was gonna be emotional for me. So on a good note, what was your favorite favorite book that you read in 2023? Put it in the comment, because we got to fill the jar up, guys. My subscriber jar got to get full, you know, and all other books you want me to read. And yes, I'm okay. So my friends who didn't know this, because I did not share this, I'm okay. So I don't need a lot of, you know, but let's give me your favorite book. And we're gonna leave this video here. I'm holding the books up before they fall down. And really, thank you guys for a beautiful 2023. It had a lot of highs, there's a few lows, but I enjoyed having this channel and using this channel as a part of my little therapy. So I will see you guys in 2024, and I wish everyone a wonderful year and fun. Enjoy, you know, their last night in December, last night in 2023, and let's start 2024 with some happy and joyful moments. So bye.